Limited options, no wrong choices. Or limited options, never a wrong choice. Limited options, better choices. Limited options, better choices. Maybe the most intellectually challenging out of the videos so far. And probably why Gandhi told people to just, be the change they wish to see in the world. There gets to be an exhaustion, there gets to be a flat out terror involved in what I'm describing with Have You Ever? And how all of the terror gets accomplished has to do with the limited choices, the limited options, the confusion, it's the limited choices and the limited options and the better choices. So misdirected and confusing, I can't even describe it correctly. And so how these folks and these people in the world accomplish this goal of, completing the task of limiting options and making better choices has to do with making better choices. They're restricting the choices by reducing the options of capitalism, that they describe. Horribly. Almost as bad as the worst of the Bible. And so they say the problems in the world are because of the freedom and the obnoxiousness and the overconsumption with capitalism. And what they're describing has to do with humans, brain, body, mind. Basically saying, like the sloth, we are in a simulation. Except now we're in a video game simulation because we are technologically advanced. But the people, like me that still play with little stuffed animals that are named Raspberry, are not up to date. And it has to do with the animal outside, the dog that goes and pees and poops in the sidewalks. With humans too, they do the same. Unfortunately, here in Seattle, Washington now. And the argument has to do with the animals in simulation. Well, they're in a simulation also, these people are basically saying in so many words. They're not able to get out of their kind of primitive tribalistic culture and ethnicities with the different animals, the birds, the mice. And neither are we. We're the same as them, but we just have a little bit more brain. The part missing from this explanation has to do with the brain and the mind and decision making. We are not the most powerful, the most destructive, and also the most helpful creature on earth for no reason. We can write a book like Howl. We can go to the moon and land like the space shuttle, docking with the orbiting space station with all countries who have space programs being involved, working together to make decisions and to safely go, they've said before, where we've never gone before. Animals make decisions for food, family, warmth maybe, if they're a bear in the winter? Migration, if you're an orca whale or whatever, geese flock you might be. And they don't have universities and colleges and schools, public buildings for families to let their kids go and learn. They don't have sports for people who are too busy to eat correctly, too busy to exercise, consistently, and need that little hormonal kind of reminder, almost like the depression pill, antidepressant, or ayahuasca, or ketamine, or any other psychedelic. Your consciousness regains its power. Your body regains its strength. Animals are at the mercy of predators. Animals are at the mercy of alpha animals. Animals are at the mercy of their mother and father if you're a bear cub coming out of hibernation and there's no food. So the mom and dad eat the babies. And so the limiting of options and the restriction of choices so that the choices are always correct has to do with this same sort of description. From what all the scientists, all the professors, all of the mathematicians have done for so long with animals, learning about their behavior, their brains, but never really getting their mind, and especially consciousness. So they studied humans with consciousness. They drugged people over in the Asian countries during the world wars and did experiments so terrifying I've never even heard something so scary sounding. Prohibited, censored. People with their jaws just and their eyes going a lot like what's happening here in Seattle, Washington on Capitol Hill. And the misdirection, the confusion, and the chaos, and the consciousness exploding into infinity. Economics. The anger with capitalism, the limiting of the options, and the restricted choices are the economic solution that these decision makers have decided makes the most sense. People aren't learning about psychological cognition inside of the system and processes I'm describing, with the limited options and the restricted choices. People are getting told about behavior, gestures, words, language, and eye movement. And they're being convinced, and maybe they just flat out believe, the freedom to dress how you want, the freedom to go date online, the freedom to open the window and let fresh air into your bunker-like home because you can't buy a house in Seattle unless you're Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos or Dr. Oz's son who goes to Harvard But they still allow you to shut the window when you still hear the scariness outside and the people who just disregard the pandemic. Similar to how people say the earth is flat. Similar to how people say there's no stars in the sky. We are being lied to and misinformed and brainwashed. Marxism, communism, socialism, fascism, capitalism. Political philosophies, ideologies, parties, Democrat, Republican, supreme leaders, are as old as humans in recorded history. They are the reason for history and civilization. And to point out one of those ideologies as the best out of all of them disregards the history that these all have made to prevent this kind of mistake from occurring. To people that these governments, these institutions, these folks and people are elected, are paid, are hired, are promoted to president in some countries to not only keep safe, but healthy, energetic, and alive. The problem has nothing to do with words or language. Regarding civilization, the world, Earth, planet, society. It has to do with mistakes and not respecting decision making.